Everyone in place? Okay, good. Hi, I'm Phil Talbert. I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of California. I'm here with partners from the Fresno Police Department, the Fresno County District Attorney's Office, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF. Today we are here to announce the arrest of Joshua Ruic Kimball of Bakersfield on charges of illegal firearms trafficking. Specifically, the criminal complaint unsealed today charges Mr. Kimball with unlawful trafficking in firearms, unlawful transfer of National Firearms Act firearms, and unlawful transfer of firearms. As detailed in the agent's affidavit filed in support of the complaint in this case, which was unsealed upon his arrest today, in April, the Fresno Police Department traced a gun seized during the execution of a search warrant, traced it to Mr. Kimball. Further investigation has shown that 103 guns used to commit crimes all around California and in Arizona, Nevada, and Mexico since 2020 all trace back to Mr. Kimball. 2 of these guns have been linked to 6 separate shootings. Others were recovered by law enforcement from convicted felons, drug traffickers, and gang members. Mr. Kimball was a federally licensed firearms dealer in Missouri, but he surrendered his license and transferred a large number of guns to himself personally. Mr. Kimball later obtained another federal firearms license in Bakersfield and has a storefront named Show Off Sports LLC on Renfro Road in Bakersfield. Last June, Fresno Police Department detectives acting undercover visited Mr. Kimball's store. Mr. Kimball offered to let the detectives join his, quote, gun club, explaining that they would only need to provide fingerprints and would not have to complete required federal paperwork or undertake a California background check. When the detectives went to the store again in July, Mr. Kimball provided more information on the gun club and how detectives could purchase a firearm with a silencer attached to it without complying with federal registration requirements for silencers. In October, the detectives again went to Mr. Kimball's store. When one indicated an interest in the gun club, Mr. Kimball provided him with a membership card. After a discussion about the membership and firearms available for purchase, the detective paid Mr. Kimball for the membership and bought a short-barreled rifle, 2 firearms with silencers, and another firearm from him without completing the paperwork that is required for a legal transfer under federal law, that is, the National Firearms Act. The transfer also violated California state law because Mr. Kimball did not require the detective to complete an application, pay a fee, and submit to a waiting period before transferring the firearms. One of the highest priorities we in the United States Attorney's Office have is to work with our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners to reduce violent crime and keep the public safe. Working with our partners, our office brings federal cases against violent offenders, often members of violent gangs who illegally use and possess guns. Recently, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland asked the United States attorneys around the country, including my office, to not only investigate and prosecute the violent offender who uses a gun, but to also investigate where that gun came from, and if it was illegally trafficked, to consider prosecuting the trafficker too. We've brought a number of illegal firearms trafficking cases to combat the flow of guns into the hands of criminals. We also coordinate with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of California in an illegal firearms trafficking strike force that uses crime gun intelligence, that is, information learned from guns that are seized from the commission of crimes, to identify both violent offenders and the traffickers who provide them with guns. ATF has been instrumental in supporting local police departments and sheriff's offices up and down the Central Valley in their use of crime gun intelligence to identify offenders and firearms traffickers, including working closely here with the Fresno Police Department in Fresno. The investigation of Mr. Kimball leading to the federal charges in this case is a great example of how federal and local law enforcement partners working together with crime gun intelligence can identify someone who is responsible for putting guns into the hands of violent offenders. This case should serve as a warning to those who illegally traffic in firearms. Law enforcement will identify you, and you'll be subject to possible criminal prosecution. I want to thank our law enforcement partners at the Fresno Police Department and the ATF for their hard work on this case and on others like it. I also want to thank the Fresno County District Attorney for her continued partnership and her office's support of using crime gun intelligence to reduce violent crime. Finally, I want to thank the Assistant United States Attorneys who've worked hard on this investigation and case. And going forward, they are Robert Veneman Hughes, Stephanie Stockman, and Kim Sanchez. With that, I'd like to introduce Fresno Police Chief Paco Balderrama.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to highlight a couple of points. Number one, really highlight the partnership between the Fresno Police Department and the ATF. Crime gun intelligence is the way of the future, to use intelligence in order to figure out where these guns are coming from. And in the city that was very violent, the first year I came in, 2020, if you remember, we had 74 homicides and we hit a new record of shootings of 732. One of my main questions as police chief was, where are these guns coming from and what is the source of these firearms? So we made the initiative to start our own crime gun intelligence center, calling it the Central Valley Crime Gun Center here in the Central Valley, that we can serve not just the Fresno area but north and south of us. This began in April. April 10th was initially when we started the new task force. Only 2 weeks after that was when we first started getting information of several hits, E-Trace hits, back to Bakersfield as a source of many of these guns. To date, we have identified 22 crime guns which were used to commit felony crimes here in Fresno, and a total 27 in Fresno County. These include gang shootings, robberies, carjackings, and at least one homicide. The problem is that the illegal sale of these guns are making their way to individuals such as gang members, juveniles, convicted felons, and people who may be mentally unstable. Clearly, these are not the individuals who should be possessing guns. We're very happy to say that we have traced 103 guns to date between 2021 and present day to this single source. I've been in contact with other police departments in California, including LAPD and Chief Mike Moore, and he expressed his appreciation for our collaboration because many of these guns have been sold to gangsters in Southern California. So this is a great example of Operation Strike Force and the intelligence that's being used to combat the illegal sale of guns in California and across the country. Just to know that these guns are not just staying here. They're going to surrounding states, and we know that guns from surrounding states are coming here to California and specifically the Central Valley. So moving forward, we will continue in this initiative, in this task force, to try to make our community safe, and we believe that fewer guns in the hands of criminals is going to make our community safer. So thank you very much to not just our Fresno County District Attorney, who's always working in collaboration with us to file the most appropriate charges here, but also to our U.S. Attorney. When we are able to make a significant bust such as this one, and it is appropriate to file federal charges, we do so. Thanks to the ATF for agreeing to partner with us in this task force, and I really foresee many more successful cases in the future. So now I'd like to present to you ATF Special Agent in Charge, Jennifer Ciccolani.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Special Agent in Charge Jennifer Ciccolani with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for ATF San Francisco Field Division. Protecting the public is at the forefront of ATF's mission, and I am grateful to be a part of a collective effort to prevent and reduce firearm-related violent crimes that significantly impact and harm members of our community. This investigation was the first conducted by ATF and the Fresno Police Department and our newly formed joint task force, the Central Valley Crime Gun Task Force, and it highlights the importance and effectiveness of firearms tracing and NIBIN in crime gun intelligence, or CGI. CGI is an unbiased way to assist investigators with identifying straw purchasers, to help link a suspect to a firearm, and also to identify potential traffickers and unlicensed dealers. In April of 2023, it was discovered through the use of ATF's e-trace system that over 100 crime guns had been traced back to Kimball between February 2021 and the present, many of which were in the Central Valley. Further, utilizing ballistic evidence, ATF's National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN, linked 2 of these firearms seized to 6 separate shooting incidents. As the Central Valley Crime Gun Task Force continued to investigate, we discovered that the defendant was an FFL in Bakersfield, California, offering the public memberships to a gun club. Once initiated, members would be allowed to purchase firearms without having to complete any paperwork. This reckless conduct not only violated the law, but also opened the door to violent offenders being able to easily access firearms. With the seizure of over 100 firearms today, I believe we have stopped the flow of these firearms into our communities. I expect you will hear continued success as ATF partnership with the Fresno Police Department and the Central Valley Crime Gun Task Force expands to additional agencies, as we all work to hold those who contribute to violence accountable. Thank you. And for that, I will turn it over to Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smith-Camp.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I would like to thank the United States Attorney Phil Talbert and Chief Assistant United States Attorney Kim Sanchez for inviting me to speak today. The Fresno County District Attorney's Office continues to be so proud to partner with our local and federal agencies, and especially in this Operation Last Member, to collaborate with these agencies in the Project Safe Neighborhood type collaboration, which you are all familiar with. The whole goal of that is to attack and reduce gun violence, not only in the streets of Fresno County, but the entire Central Valley. At the Fresno County DA's office, we are fortunate enough to have prosecutors who are employed by Fresno County, but serve as what we call SAUSAs, Special Assistant United States Attorneys, who can either prosecute cases in federal court or in state court. And it is through this partnership that we are able to work more closely together to find out where these cases should land in either the state or federal courtrooms. We are able to ingrain these prosecutors into the investigative phases of these operations, which better prepares them for trial and litigation when the time comes to take these cases in front of a judge and a jury. Currently, the Fresno County DA's office has 4 cases that involved firearms that are connected to defendant Kimball. All of these cases involved risk to the public, and 1 involved a murder. In closing today, I would like to say that the County of Fresno and the Central Valley is so lucky to have law enforcement leaders like the people that are standing behind me today. I have to give special recognition to Chief Paco Balderrama, who is using crime analysis, crime intelligence, and technology to fight crime in a way that we have never seen in Fresno County before. Chief Balderrama, I want to thank you. As a person who was born here and raised here and is raising my family here, as a member of this law enforcement community, I want to acknowledge you and congratulate you on your leadership. You have been such a fine addition to the law enforcement community here in Fresno, and we are all safer because you are our police chief. I have also had the opportunity to work with Special Agent in Charge Jennifer Ciccolone. There is not another person in the ATF that I am aware of that is more dedicated to eradicating gun violence on the streets of our communities than Special Agent in Charge Ciccolone. That is a mouthful. That is a long title and a big name for a lady who does a big job. And we are so fortunate to have the relationships here that we have with U.S. Attorney Phil Talbert and his amazing staff. Fresno County is safer today. The Central Valley is safer today with the apprehension of Mr. Kimball. And at this time, I would like to turn it back over to U.S. Attorney Talbert for any questions.
Thank you, D.A. Smith-Camp. Any questions for us? Yes.
Okay, you mentioned, you mentioned a murder one of the guns were tied to. Which murder? Can you tell us about that?
I'll get that information to you. We actually have a full list of the many crimes that have been linked back to where they were recovered and what crimes have been linked back to here in Fresno.
Also, can you tell us anything about where this gun shop was located?
So it's located in Bakersfield. California, and clearly our interest in that particular location were the guns that we were getting hits from recovered here in Fresno, and we were tracing back to that gun shop. So that's kind of what started the investigation, but then very quickly it grew legs. I mean, once you get into 100 different guns recovered in the western part of the United States, all linked to different crimes or prohibited persons, then clearly it's worth taking or an investigation from whatever the corresponding source was. And that's one of the flexibilities of this partnership. It's a task force, so we do have ATF agents on this task force, so we can go anywhere up and down California that we need to make a case.
So how does the trace actually work? You go back to the manufacturer and they say, well, it went to this dealer, is that what it usually is?
Yes, so E-Trace is a system that it takes the firearms through commerce through the original purchaser. So it will go through the original manufacturer, and then it goes to the FFL who it was sold to, and then whoever that first purchaser is. And then after that, it's up to the agents or investigators to follow up with the interviews and things to where the life cycle of the firearm.
Will there be any pictures of the suspect or any of the evidence that you would be able to share with us?
I anticipate that, by policy, we don't share pictures of someone at the time they were arrested, mugshots. Second, with respect to pictures of firearms, I anticipate that we might be using those as evidence in court filings, and that's where you would find them. But there's nothing in the court filings to date. This is charged as a complaint under the federal system. That would normally be followed by an indictment by a grand jury, and I can't really talk more about that other than that, but that's the process that we would anticipate in the general case. Yes?
Where is the suspect being held in custody?
He appeared in court today, right?
For an arraignment?
Tomorrow. So he appear in court tomorrow?
For an arraignment?
For an arraignment, yes. Initial appearance.
In the federal court?
Yes, in federal court. So charged with federal charges here in district court here in Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah, so he should be on the 2 o'clock calendar tomorrow?
He'll be on the 2:30 calendar.
2:30. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. So he'll make his first appearance in Bakersfield. There's one federal magistrate judge in Bakersfield. He'll make his initial appearance tomorrow at 2:30, and then his case will move up here to Fresno.
So he's being held in Bakersfield.
Yeah, he's down there. Anything else?
I mean, just open-ended question for any of you. What is just something that you've learned during this investigation that you think is crucial, that you are excited to move forward in the future, that you really think is going to help keep people safe, or if there's anything you could share with us?
So I can say from the U.S. Attorney's perspective, we cover 34 counties in Eastern California. This is just one of them. What I'm really happy about is that, I give Chief Balderrama, and with the support of DA Smitkamp, all the credit for believing in crime gun intelligence and using it to create cases like this. Again, we need to go after the people who are providing the guns to the criminals, not just the criminals who use the guns themselves. ATF has been a great partner in persuading chiefs and sheriffs up and down the valley to adopt this mode of investigation and to rely on crime gun intelligence. Fresno County is not the only place that this is happening, but I can tell you that Chief Balderrama and his department and his task force are at the forefront within the Eastern District in using crime gun intelligence to create cases like this. This is new. This is a game changer. We're going to be doing cases like this. We have a couple of others out of other counties, but we're going to be doing more and more cases like this to go after the people that are most responsible for providing guns in large numbers to criminals for use in crime.
I'm just curious, I noticed that we don't have any more ghost guns being sold at the fairgrounds like twice a year. Did you guys have anything to do with that, any of you?
Go ahead. Speak to
Yeah, sure.
ghost
Well,
guns.
ghost guns continue to be a problem, particularly here in California, because the gun laws are a little bit more restrictive here. But that's just another source. Today's example is an example of an individual who is illegally selling guns, and they're getting to the hands of criminals, and that's a problem. Ghost guns is buying pieces of guns and building them in one's garage, for example, by individuals who a lot of times can't legally possess or own firearms. So that's another source. Plain and simple is that the fewer guns in the hands of criminals is going to make our community safer. And that's basically one of the fundamental philosophies of what this team is doing, of what gun crime or crime gun intelligence does, is leveraging technology to help us to solve some of these crimes. You know, if we can e-trace every gun and we can NIBIN every gun, well then we know if that particular gun was used in another crime in our community, and we get to find out where the source is. And using this information, we can make cases such as this one and at least plug in one of the sources that is providing guns to not just Fresno, but Southern California. So this is, I think this is, the new technology is going to be the future for law enforcement, especially with firearms and the restriction of firearms.
Good. All right, thank you so much for coming.